So I thought I'd do an overview of 006le. This is one of 6 hilts made. The other 5 are awaiting some assembly and some other cleaning up. This is fully installed with a removable reveal core. It's a pixel saber with a CFX running everything. I'll just start with the exterior here. It's all custom designed, original design. The major elements, including this solid copper emitter, collar, handle, and pommel, were outsourced per my designs, and I machined everything else you see, and everything you see when I open it up was machined by myself as well. I also did the custom speaker grill, brass with a copper mesh below. We have a forward D-ring, similar to or inspired by Vader's MPP D-ring placement. I really like that. I like it held, saber hanging upside down. You lift it, and just you have it in the right position, no twisting or anything like that. It's just really cool. Maybe not totally efficient, but I like it. Brass thumb screw for retention, and then just these retainer screws for the shroud and the bracket here. The D-ring is stable. It won't rattle around. And then custom brass all metal blade plug. It is a pixel plug, which I'll show eventually. And then we have our side ports similar to the Graflex, one for 3-pin rice and one for recharge. There's a custom kill key in there with plastic post and a very large knob, so it's easy to get a hold of and grab. I didn't knurl it, so I just made it long enough to get a nice hold on and pull it out. It's snug but not too tight, so pretty easy to get out. These brass inserts, they're all individual pieces inserted into this front assembly here. The middle one here and on the bottom act as the activation and auxiliary switches to make the saber work and do its cool things. And these were designed to kind of look like or emulate the idea of the traces from a clamp card, but I really liked the idea of doing them as physical pieces and inserts. It just really brings up the value of the saber and the feel of it. It's really, really cool. I have a split handle between ribbed and knurled, so nice gripping areas for both hands, one hand, in whatever placement. Fluted collar, fluted pommel, and that's pretty much it as far as the exterior goes. So just a really nice, clean, slick design. As I said, this is solid copper, and the core inside has some pretty large brass pieces. So this saber is hefty. It's 12 inches from the tip of the shroud to the pommel, and it weighs just under 1 3/4 pounds. It is a heavy beast. So let's take a look at the blade, which I'll show from another video, just because I don't have room here. So we'll show that. Anyway, let's fire it up.
Surely we can be civilized about this. Our guests have arrived. Let negotiations begin. Missed me. Missed me. There's never time to limber up.
Okay, so back to the hilt. Take a look at the blade plug. As I said, it is a pixel plug.
Surely we can be civilized about this.
Turn that on.
Our guests have arrived.
And there you can see. Sorry for the lighting. And as I said, it's all brass. I still need to open up the bore in it so that the pixel holder or the PCB holder fits nice. It's actually really snug right now, but I'd like it to fit in there a little bit nicer. It's a little cantilever or skewed. Anyway, let's open this up and take a look at the inside. This is a little custom Allen key that I made. Well, this is the holder, and I thought it'd be cool, you know, if it was hanging on a belt or something, it would really fit with a costume. But anyway, this is it's actually not very straight, so undoing these screws and everything is pretty tough. But we'll leave that out. And what I like to do to get the handle off is hold it up here toward the bracket, away from the buttons, and just give it a nice twist. Okay. So, you know, one thing you got to keep in mind with these reveal cores and the metal is that, you know, any contact or any dust or dirt in there is going to create surface scratches. Pretty easy to buff out with a little bit of polish or some very, very fine sandpaper. Just be careful if you do that. You don't want any of the dust or anything to get inside the core. The core is pretty solid and sealed, but you know, always just pay attention, take care. So there we go. That's the internal core. And because this is a heavy front end with that copper emitter, I always like to support the core and the emitter at the same time if I'm lifting it, so we're not putting too much weight on anything. And just to go over the details here, as I said, I machined all this in my little apartment shop. We have our brass platforms, some copper tubes and pipes, spun wire conduits, some brass pipes in there, and then we have a vertical fin heat sink that has some pretty cool cutouts and windows. Sorry, you can see on the back there. Soldered pipes, just giving it a real, you know, crafted industrial look to the core and the chamber. It's a real quartz crystal. It's got a titanium finish on it, so it has a nice iridescent or pearlescent glitter to it when you turn it in the light. Don't know if the camera picks that up at all. And then we have our aluminum body, main body, and then the brass speaker pod or speaker holder. Inside, as I said, is the CFX. There's an 8-segment SMD bar graph in there. I believe it's 3 yellow, 3 orange, and 2 red. And then we have this brass insert, which, again, I don't know if it shows up on the camera. Has a nice heat-treated rainbow patina, and that runs from about there to the top. And then this diffuser is just a really thick translucent plastic that's doubled up, goes around the whole internal diameter and from here to here. So the board wiring is all isolated from metal contact. As I said, it is removable, so we'll use our little doodad here. It's a set screw, so we're just going to screw that in a little bit. Make sure that the kill key is out. You don't want to snap that off. So we're going to hear General Kenobi again.
Surely we can be civilized about this?
Yes, sir, we can. And then just gently slide it out. There's the whole core. Not sure if that's showing up. And this front end is 3D printed SLS nylon, nice and strong. A reason it's plastic, two main reasons. One, really hard to machine the internal features that are in this. And two, I like to isolate the electronics, and there's, the two switches, the two ports, and the pixel connector are all in here. So I like them to be kind of isolated from the metal parts. So as I said, recharge, 3-pin rice, switches. Switches line up with these brass plungers. These are spring loaded, so they should come up, but when reassembling, just check. Make sure that you don't feel any snags or anything. Let's turn this on for a second here.
Our guests have arrived. Let the negotiations begin.
So loud. Smooth swing is just absolutely incredible. You can see a little bit of the cutout and the fins. Sorry. It's weird camera placement. I really don't like doing videos too much because I don't have a lot of room or a good setup with the light. That's just the kill power here. Okay, so just very quickly, I did prototype this, if you didn't know. Over 2 years ago, I built a prototype version, and that was really to figure out if everything worked and what I could improve upon. And there are several things. Here is the original core, and just very quickly, because I don't want to make this video too long. Upgraded to neopixel, or changed to neopixel, however you want to view that. Some slight design changes to the front section, specifically how the recharge port is installed. Now it is a pressure fit in between two pieces. The problem being is that this old one, the way this was done as one piece, there was no good way to secure that charge port. So eventually, very quickly actually, the plug was pushing the charge port inside, which wasn't good. So again, prototypes help you learn. I made the fin one piece on this model. 2 pieces was just really tough and very wasteful. Milling it to the right size, with the fins in there, the very thin fins, it was just really tough to do that well. Thicker core, thicker body, thicker metal here. So there's the new one. You can kind of get an idea how thick that metal is. And the prototype. very, very thin. So couldn't get real good detail with the lathe work and the slots and everything. Speaker pod is a little bit thinner, and construction, big mistake on the prototype with set screws. One here, one here, one here, one here. Problem being, just not a good fit at all. So the changes made to this version were one, tighter fit between these two pieces, and 3 small screws set 120 degrees around the circumference there. So we have a nice solid connection, held very nicely. It's the same with the speaker pod. There's a brass insert in there to thicken that up, because of using the reverse set screw to make the speaker pod removable. I didn't want any flex in that to take it out around, so there's a brass ring in there to kind of thicken up the material. So that leads me to SD card and USB access. You just clockwise to loosen, and speaker is connected with the 2-pin. You don't need to disconnect it. You can just put it off to the side. I left a lot of wire there so that nothing was getting pulled really hard. Still, be careful. And you have clean, clear access to your USB port and your SD card. Speaker is held in by pressure and has this plastic ring, again isolating it from metal. When you put this back in, just be careful not to pinch any wires. And there is plenty of room in there for it to fit. It's catching a little bit, so what I'm going to do is twist it up a little bit, kind of set it inside there. There we go. And then, sorry if my head gets in the frame here. I'll look to line up those holes, and just very carefully as to not poke body. Get in there, and left to tighten it up. Not too much, doesn't need a lot, and everything should be good. Let's try it out. Hopefully we hear General Kenobi.
Surely we can be civilized about this.
And there we go. And again, to get it all together, just make sure there's no snags with the switches. There's a little post, and the post goes down and hits the little tactile switch. Yes, lining all that up was hard. Just make sure, as I said, they are spring loaded, but the springs aren't like industrial strength springs. They're homemade springs. So just make sure, sometimes dust or whatever can get caught in there, maybe hang one up. So when you are inserting this, you just do it gently. Make sure everything goes nice. Looks like it does. And then we're gonna bring this screw back out. And I would say this was designed to have a little bit of play. You don't want to tighten this up too much. What will happen is it'll bring the core forward, and we'll make it not eccentric, and it won't, the handle won't screw on nicely. And then I just like to hold it upright or upside down and get it in. Sorry, I am doing that all out of frame. And make sure you don't back that screw out too much. Again, don't make it too tight, but don't back it out too much either, because the hilt will catch on it, and you don't want that to happen. everything lines up nicely. And we'll just give it a nice snug up there. And let's see.
Our guests have arrived.
So
This is the last time Cody takes a day off.
he's so rude. He always cuts me off. So that's the hilt in a nutshell. Thanks for watching.